Video number 4. Hey folks, I'm Owl, this is Yarn Owl Reads, and in this video I'm going to be talking about my favorite books of 2019. And I'm going to do that thing where I'm talking about my 19 favorites of 2019, because I can, and it's fun. In my bullet journal I have a spread with a bunch of favorites on it. I think there are 35 books in this spread, so I'm only going to be talking about my top 19 that I have totally ranked, and it absolutely means many things with the rankings. It's not arbitrary at all. Whatever. Starting from number 19, I loved An Unkindness of Ghosts by River Solomon. This is a sci-fi that takes place on a spaceship, or like space station, and it's like this society is super racist, super classist, super sexist. And so it's really a discussion about racism and about gender, and it's like it gets dark. So like trigger warnings, all of the trigger warnings for mostly for sexual assault, also for just violence against Black people. But it just did it. Despite the fact that it like broke my heart, I loved it. I loved it a lot. And it is very for sure on my favorites of the 2019 list. Number 18. Where are you, 18? There we go. Number 18 was Criers by Nina Varela. This is it's a futuristic sci-fi, well no, it's a different world sort of sci-fi. Whatever, sorry, it's a sci-fi in a world where the ruling class are autome, which are like sort of cyborgy people. And the main character is a human who wants to take revenge against like all of the autome, especially the like very ruler of the autome, because autome killed her family. And that's one of the main characters. The other main character is the daughter of the ruler of the autome, who is not and they fall in love, and it's beautiful. And like I need the sequel. I need the sequel a lot. And that comes out later this year. So that's Criers by Nina Varela. Number 17 is Empire of Light by Alex Harrow. This is also queer sci-fi. If I'm not mistaken, all of these are queer. No, not quite all of them. 3 aren't queer. 4. No, that's queer. Sorry, anyway, so number 17 is Empire of Light by Alex Harrow. This is another queer sci-fi book. This was my most anticipated release of 2019, and I was not disappointed. It is in a world that has magic, and there's spaceships, but they have all this advanced technology, but there's one, such a huge class divide, and two, like, there aren't resources to actually power a lot of this technology. So like, you can't actually go into space because there's no fuel. Anyway, so it is another like oppressive government sort of story. It is also a romance, and the main character is Damon, and he is a marshmallow inside of a hard, gruff shell, and he's wonderful. And his boyfriend has this magic, and like if the government knew, they would probably try and take him, or they would try and take him. And so Damon's just trying to keep that from happening. And to do that, he ends up sort of falling in with a rebellion, and there's a very pretty person in the rebellion. I love Rain. I am Team Rain all the way. Anyway, it's great. I highly recommend it if you are looking for some adult queer sci-fi. Number 16 on my favorites list is We Set the Dark on Fire by Taylor K. Mejia. This is also queer SFF. This one is fantasy. It is a world in which there are, like, a person gets 2 wives, and they are, like, from essentially different stereotypes of women. And the first wife is supposed to be all analytical and, like, strategist, and, like, match this man, the man that she is essentially given to, match his intellect and match his mind. And the second wife is supposed to be passionate and like artistic, and is supposed to take care of other needs. I hate patriarchy. Anyway, so the main character is first wife. The book starts with her being assigned to her husband along with the second wife. His second wife. They are meant to sort of be partners in life, the universe, and everything. And she, like, the person who is chosen as his second wife is her rival from learning how to be wives school. This is a really messed up, like, setup. And it's queer. They end up making feelings. And like describing it is difficult. There's also, again, it is an oppressive government, and there is a rebellion taking place. So that's also part of this book. The second book is going to be told from the other the other character's perspective, and I'm really, really excited for that. That comes out in 2020. I'm impatient. Number 15 was A Very Large Expanse of Sea by Tahereh Mafi. And the writing, it was mostly the writing. Like, I mean, the story is also good, but I can't actually tell you that much about it now, like 6 months later. The concept is that the main character is a Muslim girl who wears a hijab and wants to do breakdancing. And also wants to be able to date whoever she wants, like, including non-Muslim boys. And she wants to be able to do whatever her brother does. Wants to be held to the same standards. So this is a contemporary. It's set soon after 9/11. I believe it's autobiographical. And if it's not, it certainly draws from the author's experience as a Muslim teenager after 9/11. And so, like, the story was good. All of that was absolutely wonderful. But oh my god, her writing is beautiful. And I've known this. I read the first 3 Shatter Me books. Sorry, heater just kicked on. I was very into that series when it first came out. And then I haven't reread it since, and I'm a little afraid to. I haven't read any of the new ones, and I'm a little afraid to. But, like, I already knew her writing was gorgeous. But I never, like, I don't know why, I guess I expected her to somehow be less gorgeous in a contemporary setting, and her writing just, like, kept going. It was really beautiful, guys. And I highly recommend, like, for a piece of some damn good prose, that you check out A Very Large Expanse of Sea by Tahereh Mafi. So that was 15. Number 14 in my favorite books of 2019 is The Mighty Heart of Sunny St. James by Ashley Herring Blake. This is a middle grade book, and it follows Sunny St. James, she has been ill for a lot of her life and needed to get a heart transplant. And so that happens like right at the beginning of the book. And so she's trying to figure out how to like get back into her life as a person with a fully functioning heart. And so like it's her trying to create a friend group because she has been pretty isolated, and it's her like rivalries that have, or not like, it's not really a, she has a rivalry with her ex-best friend, and there's a new girl in town who she thinks she can like have a fresh start with. It's all so pure and cute and happy. And I was a little bit let down by the first middle grade book of hers that I read, which was the Tornado one, Ivy Aberdeen's Letter to the World. I didn't like that one quite as much as I expected to, and this one I loved so much more than I thought I was going to. It was adorable, and like I loved Sunny and I loved her family, and it's a lot, and it's also a lot of talking about family, because her mother isn't necessarily in the picture at the beginning of the book, and she's being raised by her mother's best friend, who she considers to be like her mother. And it's just as somebody who came from a interesting family situation, it was just I just really loved that exploration of family. Plus it was queer and cute. Sorry if there was any camera shifting, I had to plug in my phone. The 13th book on my list is With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. The Poet X was one of my favorite books. I read in 2018. I reread it. It was the first book I read in 2019. And it's pretty. It's like, speaking of beautiful writing, I love beautiful writing. I don't really know how to describe it. I'm not doing a very good job. It's art. Like, the writing itself is art. And Elizabeth Acevedo has that in spades. I liked With the Fire on High more than I liked The Poet X. And I loved The Poet X. It's about a girl who she's a teen mother and she wants to be a chef. And she's in her senior year and she's figuring out how she's going to make all of that work. Like, she's going to keep being a mother, she's going to become a chef. Not sure how she's going to do all that, but she's going to do it. And it's also about her taking a cooking class, and they are trying to go on a class field trip to Spain, I think. And just, again, cannot get over how beautiful this writing is. Elizabeth Acevedo is absolutely an auto-read author for me. Her writing just makes me so happy. Number 12 on my list is The Disasters by M.K. England. I love this book because it is just flat out hilarious. It is so funny. And I actually just finished Spell Hacker, which is their next book. And if anything, it's more funny. And oh god, their writing in the same way, or not. I love Elizabeth Acevedo's writing, and I love M.K. England's writing, but like, they're so well done and wonderful in different ways, and they make me happy in such different ways. Like, M.K. England is just so funny. It just kills me in the best possible way. Just like the banter, the one-liners, it's absolutely wonderful. The concept of The Disasters is that it is a queer sci-fi in which main character wants to go to flight school. He goes up to a space station in order to like apply for flight school, take a test, whatever, and just things start going wrong from there. Everything goes wrong from there throughout the rest of the book. And it was just like a fun adventure sci-fi with lots of awesome characters. So I highly recommend The Disasters by M.K. England. For number 11, I've got Once and Future by Amy Rose Capetta and Corey McCarthy. This is another one that I am so psyched that the sequel's coming out this year. I'm very impatient. And the concept of this one is that it is a future in which like Earth is mostly uninhabitable or uninhabitable, and people live on other planets and on moons and stuff. There's space travel, all of that. And King Arthur is reborn into a girl. So she's King Arthur. And there's also Merlin, and there's a Guinevere, and it's very queer. Everything is queer, everyone is queer. It's also about immigration and about an oppressive government. I wonder why all these books about oppressive government are coming out now by US authors. Anyway, sorry, that was snarky. So it is a mix of the sci-fi, which is just the world they live in, and the magic of Arthur being reborn, and of like the rebellion and trying to deal with this society. And it's wonderful. And because it is on this list, I bet you know what comes next. I highly recommend it. I definitely think you should consider reading, if you're into sci-fi, Once and Future by Amy Rose Capetta and Corey McCarthy. Number 10 on this list is A Gentleman Never Keeps Score by Cat Sebastian. This is a queer historical romance between a black man and a white man, and it's real cute. It's also a really good discussion of mental health and being a survivor of abuse, and I loved every part of it. And I'm really excited for the next one to come out. And yeah, I've gushed about that book a lot in recent videos, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. Number 9 is All the Bad Apples by Moira Fowley Doyle, and that is about a family with in which like the girls are cursed, but not all the girls, just the ones who are, queer or who get pregnant out of wedlock or at a young age, or who like don't fit in properly. These girls are cursed. So it's all about this family. Most of it follows a girl in modern-ish day. I think it's like early to mid 2000s, in England, and she is trying to prove that her sister isn't dead, even though everybody else thinks she is. And she's trying to like get to the bottom of this whole curse business. And she's doing that by following letters that she's getting, and they're supposedly from her sister. And then the other part of the story is told through these letters, and it's the history of this family. And so it's essentially just how people shittily treat women throughout history. But the writing is beautiful. The discussion of like systematic sexism is really good. The discussion of inherited tragedy. It's a good look at history and at now, and at just life. Yeah. I do good, I talk books. It's just, it's a wonderful discussion of family and of queerness and of how to be a woman, or yeah, just that was mine. Number 8 on my list is Taste of Marrow by Sarah Gailey. This is the second book in the River of Teeth duology. And I loved this. I loved this a lot. I accidentally read it before I read River of Teeth, which might be why I like it more than the first book, but I love the characters. I love the whole alternate history of hippos in the United States. I love the world building. I love the characters. I don't know if I already said that. I love all the characters. I love the casual queerness and how it's all accepted. And so it's in this world where hippos were brought to the United States to be a food source, and turns out hippos are real scary. And hate, well, they don't hate people, but they will sometimes eat people. They sort of like killing people. And it's set in that world. I can't tell you anything of what it's about. It's after the events of the first book. It's directly related to the end of the first book, so if that premise intrigues you, I definitely recommend you check it out. Number 7 on my list. Where are you, 7? Number 7 on my list is This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El-Motar and Max Gladstone. This is also a queer sci-fi. It is about, I talk about it a lot in my Queer in Space wrap-up. I'm not going to get into it too much here because describing this book makes me tired. It is a very high-concept sci-fi about 2 women who are agents on opposite sides of a time war. So they're traveling through time, and they end up getting to know each other and falling in love through letters. And the best description I have, it is really, really high concept. Took me quite a while to like get into the flow of the story, but I loved it. I loved, like, because there isn't necessarily world building, but there is, and the way it's done is really good. There's world building as you go, and it was really, really, really good. And again, talking about writing as art, this definitely qualifies. So for number 6, I've got Pet by Akwaeke Emezi. This is a novella. Also read this for the Queer in Space readathon. Okay, so on one hand, it is dark, and it talks about a lot of really difficult things. The concept of this is that it is our world in the near future, in which, so there used to be monsters, and monsters was their way of classifying people who do really horrendous things, like child abuse and like serial killers, that sort of thing. And this is a world, once the monsters are all gone, once they've all been taken care of, like, monsters are no longer allowed, there were monster hunters, it's all taken care of now. So Jem is the main character. She is a black trans girl who lives in this post-monster world, and she ends up sort of summoning a monster hunter who tells her that it isn't a post-monster world. There's a monster in her community, and she needs to help find this monster. And so, on one hand, it's really heavy and talks about really heavy stuff like child abuse, and that's hard. That's a lot. But on the other hand, I loved the conceit of this world so much. I loved that Jem got to grow up without racism and without trans hate. And I just, Yep, I have a lot of feelings about Pet. I am absolutely buying it once we get a new place and I have room for books again. I cannot. I really wanted to read this author's other work, which is called Freshwater, but I have some mental health issues with reptiles. Uh, Very, very serious phobia to the point where I can't touch that book because of the cover. Um, and I can't, like, listening to it on audiobook, I would have to have it on my screen and I'd have to see it, and I can't deal with that. So I don't think I'm going to read Freshwater anytime soon, unless it comes out with a different cover. Um, Except I don't know if reptiles are anyway actually a part of the story, so that might also stop me from reading it. Anyway, I finally got to read their writing, and A plus, 10 out of 10 would recommend Pet by Quaking and Mezzy. And for number 5, we have To Be Taught is Fortunate by Becky Chambers. I have gushed about this in several videos that I have filmed today. It is a sci-fi, it is a queer futuristic sci-fi, about, it's got a very Star Trek feel. Humans who are exploring the universe, they are scientists, they are making discoveries and doing science on other planets, and it is such an amazing discussion about science, and specifically about like biological science and science as it intersects with the real world, like with nature and with ecosystems. And I absolutely loved it. It's a novella. It is not part of the Wayfarer series, so I went into it with pretty low expectations, and I don't know why. But it is a standalone novella, and I definitely recommend anybody who's into futuristic fiction, who is into science as it intersects with fiction. Yeah, recommend it to all of those people. Alright, we're coming up on the last few. Number 4, I've got The Luminous Dead by Caitlin Starling. This is about a girl who is a caver, and it's a sci-fi. It is a queer sci-fi. And she wants to get off planet. And like to do that, she has to make a lot of money first. And so she takes a caving job that is sort of sketchy, not so many details, but pays really, really, really well. And if she finishes this job, that's it. She can get off planet. So she's essentially the only. There are only 2 characters in this. She is, and the way that caving works on this planet is that you have to go down. Like caving is a 1-person thing. You go down by yourself in this exosuit, which completely contains you, so you don't like really impact or affect the environment at all, because there are creatures called tunnelers, and they kill people. They killed many, many people before, and they don't really know what attracts them. So it's just like we're covering all of these bases. Anyway, so that's like the background. So Gyre takes a caving mission. Turns out that there isn't like a team to help her with this and like monitor her and like monitor her suit and all of that. There's one person, and that's M. And M has issues. She's got some boundary issues. She's got some like issues about autonomy and Gyre's personhood sometimes. Anyway, the mission is not what it seemed at the get-go. And I mean, it seemed sketchy, and it is sketchy, but it is like a sci-fi. I love the description, horror tinged sci-fi. I don't remember if that was a blurb or if the author came up with that herself, but like the tension is continuous and just continuously gets more and more and more throughout the book. The isolation of Gyre being in this suit, there is no light. She cannot touch herself. Like she can't even touch her own skin because she's encased in a suit. Of the only person that she communicates with is M, who, and their relationship is like troubled. It is the fucked up, like, queer sci-fi horror that I need in my life. So highly recommend it if that's what you're into. For number 3, I have A Girl Like Her by Talia Hibbert. This is the first book in the Ravenswood series. It follows Ruth, who is black and autistic and fat and British and nerdy. She's very into comic books, which makes me very happy. And she is considered a town pariah in this small British town of Ravenswood for reasons that we get into. And then there's Evan. He is new to town and he is neighbors with Ruth, and they end up like making a connection and having a romance, and some content warning for a past abusive relationship, which is like a significant part of the story, but not so much like yes, go into it with these content warnings, but also understand that it is a fluffy, beautiful, happy book. And Talia Hibbert believes only in happily ever afters and doing right by her characters. So, yeah, definitely, if you're into romance at all and you have not read this series, absolutely run, don't walk to get a copy of A Girl Like Her. All right, number 2. Woo! I actually know what 2 and 1 are, so I can turn. For number 2, we have Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. In case you don't know what this is about, it's the first son of the United States, who is a person of color. His mom is white, his dad is Latinx? Mexican American. Sorry, I got distracted by how much I love this book. Sorry, so it's about Alex, who is the son of the President of the United States. His mom is the president. And he has a rivalry with Prince Henry, who is Prince of England, and they fall in love. And a lot of other stuff happens. And it just follows Alex's life, Henry's life, from summer of 2019 until the election in fall of 2020. And just to see seeing their relationship change, seeing all of the different emotions they go through. Also, I love books that make me laugh, and this book makes me laugh all the time. Anyway, so yeah, that's Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. It's a lovely book. I think I read it 5 times in 2019. It's my go-to, I want to feel happy, so I read this book. I recently-ish, for my birthday in September, got a physical copy, and my next read of it is going to be visually reading and annotating my physical copy, and I'm really excited for that. And here we go. My favorite book of 2019 was A Duke by Default by Alyssa Cole. This is the second book in the Reluctant Royal series, and it follows Portia. She is, I don't know if socialite is the right word. Maybe. Yeah, she's an American socialite from a very, very rich family whose parents have really low expectations of her. So she goes to Scotland to try and sort of reinvent herself and get away from things like drinking to deal with her feelings. She goes to be a swordsmaker's apprentice. And she doesn't even know what that means. She ends up defining it as we go. So she ends up falling in love with the sword maker, and then I guess this is important. And then it turns out he might have like noble lineage. He might be a duke, and that's all like very important and part of the story. But Portia is amazing. We get a lot of the book from her perspective, and the way she thinks just like clicks really well with me. Portia has ADHD, and that is a thing she discovers over the course of the book. And I read this before I was diagnosed with ADHD, and then read it again afterwards, because that all happened in 2019. And it just, even before, I just clicked with her so hard. Like, indicator that might have been telling you something. Anyway, I love Portia. I love Portia's relationship with her sister, Regina. I love Reggie's novella, which is Can't Escape Love by Alyssa Cole. There are a lot of things with Portia that I don't relate to. I mean, I am not black, and I don't have, like, I have different baggage with, like, my history and all of that, but seeing Portia learning to, like, find ways to work with her brain and find ways that her brain works for her, instead of seeing her brain as a problem, seeing her mind and the way it works as something that needs to be worked around, and something that can't coincide with being a, like, successful functioning human person. It was good. And this is 45 minutes of footage. I'm gonna hate editing this. Anyway, so those were my top 19 books of 2019. This was fun. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you have any thoughts, feelings, want to say anything, go ahead and leave it in the comments or shoot me an email. All of my relevant information is down in the description below. And other than that, I hope you'll have a great day. Bye!